Get ready to uncover truths and reality of today's politics. Here's your host, Lori Mills.
Welcome to Uncover California. You guys, today I'm not going to spend a lot of time on an open because I have a dear friend in studio today. Lieutenant Colonel Buzz Patterson, Air Force, retired, who actually carried the nuclear football for Bill Clinton, and he's a best-selling author, and he's just one of my favorite people. So instead of talking to you about what's going on in our world today, I'm going to talk about it with him, and you guys can join in. Buzz, welcome to Uncover California again.
Thank you so much, Lori. Great to be here.
Boy, it's good to have you back.
Well, thanks. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So let's do this more frequently. Let's have a good time today.
Yeah. Well, last time you were here, we were in election season, basically.
Right.
And
yeah.
looking at the destruction of our country with Joe Biden and just everything that was going on, the tyranny. And boy, have we come a long way. 51 days into President Trump's new administration. How do you think it's going?
Well, I think the best line in Trump's address to Congress last week was, all we needed was a new president.
Yeah.
And we got him. And you can see the immediate after effects. I mean, the border is closed. This is what the Democrats lied about for 4 years. The border's closed now. DOGE has so far identified $500 billion. That's billion with a B.
Of waste, fraud, and abuse.
Waste, fraud, and abuse. I heard today that the DOGE also basically told the Department of Education for all the employees to be out by 6 p.m. tonight.
I didn't hear that. So they're closing it?
Well, they're going to do it. I heard from sources that they're going to take down the manning about 50% initially, and then eventually close it for good.
Well, let's just say, in the world, I think we rank 39th in the world in education.
And number one in terms of dollars per pupil. So we're spending more money than Canada, UK, France, Germany, Italy, and our pupils are coming in about 40th in the world, and that's unacceptable. And I think that's where Trump is that he wants to push the educational control back to the parents. He wants there to be school choice, and he wants the states to dictate. Now, that's a little dangerous in California.
But again, I wouldn't have run for the state assembly in 22 if we didn't have COVID and didn't find out what our kids were being taught.
Right.
And a lot of these unelected bureaucrats, let's not kid ourselves, are the ones that have been pushing the DEI and the LGBTQIA, and you can change your gender and your parents don't need to know. I have no problem seeing that entire place gutted.
Well, and I think we're getting there. I think we have to realize and we have to recognize, exactly what Elon Musk and President Trump and DOGE are doing. This is historic.
Yeah.
I was working for President Clinton in the 90s as his military aide when he did some significant reductions in force. He cut back the military significantly. He did the same thing to social servants. And Barack Obama did the exact same thing. He cut back some of the overgrowth of government. And now that President Trump's in charge and Elon Musk is in charge, the Democrats oppose a smaller government. So I think it's been a long time coming. This is what I voted for.
It's what I voted for, too. Yeah. And if we really look at the USAID money that's been spent, it's that in itself, and that's just scratching the surface. We know now all these NGOs that were flooding our country with immigrants and trafficking children into our country, that was being paid through USAID.
Yes.
We know Russiagate and impeachment number 1 is tied to USAID money. And part of me truly believes that the reason that we are having such pushback from the Democrats, this has been their slush fund.
It has been, and there's been, I've seen charts where the USAID money was going right from the taxpayer to USAID and then back into the pockets of our politicians.
Yes.
In support of these programs overseas. Ukraine being one that's the most obvious, but a lot of these programs in Africa that USAID was supporting were coming back to the U.S. politicians and then going. So it was the whole thing's been a money laundering scheme and a scam.
Yeah.
And
well, we've been funding terrorism.
yes,
You know, and
yes.
again, Eric, if you can throw up that picture later of I believe they were ISIS Caliphate holding guns in a USAID tent, that says
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
You know, and the fact that we're paying for gender surgeries in Guatemala. We paid for Eco Health Alliance $53 million in order to fund gain of function research on the coronavirus, and then ended up with a pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I saw another one. I think we paid $2.7 million to study men having sex with men in South Africa. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
And that's money that could be spent on us.
Yes.
It could be spent on homeless vets. It could be spent on closing the border for real.
Yeah.
You know, and we also the USAID spent $20 million on putting Sesame Street into Iraq.
Yeah.
$20 million. I could have done it for $200 probably and been just as successful.
We could bring sock puppets.
Exactly right. So this whole thing has been a scam, and it's interesting to me, just observing the left's reaction to all of this. I mean, why wouldn't you want smaller government? Why wouldn't you want our Medicaid and Social Security systems programs to be more solvent? I mean,
right.
Because we're sending money to places that, I mean, paying people who are 150 years old in the Social Security, scrolls, who are obviously dead.
Yeah, there's a guy who's 300
Yeah.
too, older than the country, but there he is on the list of Social Security. And I find it funny that the Democrats keep pushing, oh, well, Trump's trying to get rid of Medicaid. Okay, you can go on the national debt clock today. Social Security and Medicaid's already done. It really is. Our government's been stealing from those programs and spending money on other things for decades. So the only way to save these programs, not destroy them, is to cut back on fraud.
So cutting back on fraud in Social Security, and I'm on Social Security, cutting back fraud on Social Security is just making the program more efficient.
Right.
Well, he's not cutting Social Security. He's cutting back on the fraud and abuse of Social Security, which makes those of us who are on those rolls, I'm more confident that my Social Security is coming from a program that's not got a 300-year-old guy on it, or 100,000 guys or girls that are 150 years old or more. I mean, I'm happy with that. And commonsensically, I can't understand, if you're a Democrat or a liberal, how you cannot get on board with, hey, we're going to be more efficient. I just don't get it.
Well, I think it comes down to they're being lied to. And they've been lied to for a very long time. Now that we know that the AP has been paid through USAID,
right.
We know Politico has been paid through USAID. It tells us everything we need to know. Those buzzwords that come, no offense,
None taken.
that come out, every cycle when they start pushing a new narrative, whether it be chaos or constitutional crisis, and everybody repeats it and repeats it and repeats it.
Right.
We have brainwashed half of the society into thinking a certain way. And the thing that concerns me now is watching these attacks on Tesla. They're getting violent again.
Yes.
And they
But
want to
Pete,
talk about January 6th.
CNN's calling them peaceful protests on Tesla. If you notice that, I mean, they're setting these cars on fire. So it reminds
they're
me
shooting at.
Yes, that reminds me of BLM riots. A couple years ago.
Which was paid for through USAID.
Exactly right.
So what I'd like somebody to do, and I've talked about this for 4 years, and it's funny because Congress is starting to talk about it, and I know it's got to be connected, is Arabella Advisors. Arabella Advisors is the biggest foreign money dark slush fund that the left has. And now we also know USAID. I want that connection made. I know that they're connected, but I know these people are being paid.
Oh,
they are not, there is a general sending them out, and I'd like to see them held accountable. What are your thoughts on that? The
general is George Soros, and now his son is becoming more and more prevalent. And, they are paying. So what you're seeing with the anti-Semitic riots at Columbia University in Bernard, what you're seeing, with the Tesla protests, what you're seeing pretty much across the nation with the DOGE protests. Those are all well funded
and organized.
So there's a chain of command that basically goes from Soros to the Tides Foundation or to his Open Societies Institute that then flows down to organizations like Code Pink and
Act Blue.
What was the big one? Occupy Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, BLM. These are all funded through the Tides Foundation and Open Societies Institute and USAID.
And Arabella Advisors.
Exactly. I met that connection is going to be made. I guarantee
it needs to be made because we know for a fact Arabella Advisors started the day that the Clinton World Initiative stopped. Eric Kessler, who was president of the Clinton World Initiative, moved and became president of Arabella Advisor. Hans Vorg Weiss, who owns a lot of media, is one of the top donors. Most of their foreign donors don't have to be disclosed. And then they go down into these funds, the Hopewell Fund,
right,
the 1630 Fund, which Jen Psaki worked for, and all these left-wing organizations. And then underneath them, and it's all run out of the same office in D.C., they've got pop-up groups that come and disappear. Like, for instance, the way this was found out was Defend Democracy.
Right.
When Justice Kavanaugh was running and they were attacking him. And suddenly you saw all these signs, Defend Democracy, same sign.
Yes.
It's organized. And sometimes I think that these protesters, whether it be BLM, whether it be Hamas, whether it be anti-DOGE, they're the same people.
They're all the same people, and they have the same boss.
And they're all paid. Not all, but most.
But you made a great point about the organizations, because the left's been really good about this. What they'll do is they'll have an organization, and then they'll close it.
Right.
Open up. It's a shell game.
Yes.
It makes
pop up, pop down, pop up.
So it makes it so much harder to connect the dots, especially through financial institutions. Okay, where's the money coming from? Where's it going to? If you've done several of these NGOs and shell corps, then it's so hard to find that money. And that's the brilliance of Elon Musk and DOGE.
Right.
You're going to see that. I mean, you've got 19-year-olds that are hacking into this stuff going, here's the problem. And that's brilliant in my mind. I mean, transparency is what it should be all about. That's what President Trump wants. And I don't know how you feel about Elon Musk, but I think that duo, left is trying to sow discord between the two because they want those two to break up like nobody's business. But those guys like each other. I mean, Elon basically lives with Trump.
Yeah, and the man's a genius.
Oh, of course he is.
This is the thing that kills me too, is you have all of these people saying, oh, well, Elon's just trying to make money off this. There is no reason the richest man in the world who's doing spaceships,
right,
and wants to go to Mars,
yes,
and has renewed NASA, and has really, I mean, before Trump, we weren't doing any space travel at all.
Well, no, he's been brilliant. You think about it, he founded PayPal.
Yes,
he sold that. He was a youngster. He was right out of college, I think. Then he did Tesla, and now he's doing SpaceX. And not only does the guy send rockets to space, he catches them.
I know.
When they come back.
Amazing.
It's a guy who's flown for 4 decades.
Yeah.
Every single time I see one of those videos on X, I go, man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Because he's catching them because he knows the only way to go forward is renewable and reusable vehicles.
And why throw billions of dollars away?
Well, that's how we get to Mars. So he's basically building the rocket ship to go to Mars.
Right.
And he's brilliant. He likes to make babies too.
Yeah. Yeah. He should be careful who he makes them with.
Well, think about it. He should be. Yeah,
Yes.
He should be, because there are a couple there that are a little questionable. But and I can see his point. He's worried about depopulation in the world, and he's a smart guy, and he's thinking, I'll just share some of my DNA. And it's kind of funny, but you're right. He's made a few poor decisions in that regard.
Yeah, but God bless him. He takes care of his kids, so that's the important
He does.
part.
He totally does.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he takes care of his baby mamas too.
Yeah, so let's talk about this attack on him, though. the left just drives me nuts. They say they're for clean energy, but are attacking the guy
Yeah.
that has made the top clean energy car in the world. It makes zero sense. And again, it's this mind virus and the consistent lies. Did you see that video? It was like a week ago where it came out, where you basically had all the Democrat senators and congressmen repeating the same
Yes.
thing
Yes.
over and
Like
over
Brady
and
Bunch.
over again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in the Brady Bunch.
Yes.
Yes. It was. And see, that stuff is being
It's propaganda.
It is totally propaganda.
And talk about this, because you were military and you have served this country for a long time. Propaganda has been used for decades by
Yes.
our CIA, and we've seen it used against other countries. For instance, we've seen our country, and God bless it, use a color revolution if they don't like some dictator somewhere to
Right.
overthrow him and install a new
Yep.
government. What are your thoughts on 2020, for instance? I truly believe that this country faced a color revolution, and we're continuously fighting that global power that wants to unseat and install who they want, because I don't think Joe Biden ever ran this country.
Well, I got a lot of thoughts about that. Yeah.
Well, let's hear it.
Like you, I ran for office in 2020. I ran for
Congress.
in California 7 up in Sacramento, and to this day, I don't think that was counted fairly.
Yeah.
But taking it away from me personally, I think that there has been a worldwide movement. I think that we have had organizations, USAID, perfect example, CIA, perfect example, where international elements have influenced decisions that they make and how that affects the American public. Having been a Cold War Air Force pilot and officer and flown against the Soviet Union for a long time, and gone to a lot of these countries where we weren't happy with the leadership, and we the U.S. were trying to overthrow that leadership, especially countries in Africa.
Boy, and that country's just doing great.
Yeah, and nothing's progressed in that continent for.
They're
ever.
killing Christians. They're killing
Oh, I
the
know.
white people now.
Yes.
It's and everybody's silent about it. What's happening in Syria right now?
Yes, which that should be in a normal world where people knew good from wrong, right from wrong and good from evil. That would be playing on every major news network right now. The extermination and genocide of Christians.
Right.
Everybody wants to talk about what's going on in Gaza, which in some cases is sad, in some cases is well deserved. But what the Christians did in Syria, there's nothing. They didn't deserve that. They didn't attack anybody. I mean, that's not.
And we're not saying Assad was a good guy. The guy was
No,
obviously
hell
a
no.
piece of crap. But
Yeah.
they weren't being killed. And it's my understanding Al Qaeda is in charge over there now.
Well, Al Qaeda's there. Of course, there's still ISIS elements. Believe it or not, we have military members, U.S. military members on the ground in Syria. The Biden administration wouldn't acknowledge that, but I have friends that are on the ground in Syria as we speak, just trying to keep a cap, so it doesn't get too out of control. Mm-hmm. And of course, we have assets in Turkey that can get down there pretty quickly as well. But Syria's the whole Middle East, and I've flown over there a lot, Lori. I mean, I probably in my 20 years as an Air Force pilot, I probably served about 10 flying in the Middle East. So, I've been to all of these countries, and it is such a tumultuous, chaotic environment with no stability whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, Assad was a bad guy, but Assad was a stable guy. We knew what to expect. Now we have no idea what to expect. And of course, Russia's right there in Syria trying to weasel into that. They've been Syria allies for a long time as well.
Now, I believe, also sticking with foreign policy, I think they've laundered money through Ukraine for decades.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ukraine's been a hotbed of that. And looking at the history now, I'm not saying that Vladimir Putin's a good guy. I don't think he is.
Right.
However, he had a red line that you don't move NATO to his border.
Right.
And that is why he invaded Ukraine.
Absolutely.
And yet that is being ignored at this point. And I look at the Ukrainian people and even the Russian people that are the young men and women that have been pushed to the front lines in these wars. And it's a meat grinder.
It is.
They're losing an entire generation of their people.
Yes.
And being a mother of a Marine, I don't want my kid going there.
Right.
To die for this war that should not even be happening. I don't understand why NATO and everybody can just say, you know what? I respect that. We wouldn't want China on our border. We wouldn't want missiles on our border. And I can't blame Russia for not wanting that on their border. What is your thought on that?
The only reason why Russia attacked Ukraine was Joe Biden personally said, yeah, sure, we'll entertain Russia being in NATO.
Or Ukraine being in NATO.
I'm sorry, Ukraine being in NATO.
Right.
That sounds like a good idea. And see, Trump in his first 4 years never even, he goes, no, that's just not going to happen.
You're asking for war.
And now what he's saying, Trump's saying the exact same thing again. No, that's just not. So is Pete Hegseth. No, that's just not going to happen. That is not going to play out where we because Russia and Ukraine will be at war forever.
Yeah, and that was a deal. I believe it happened in 1991 where it was agreed upon NATO does not move west.
Yes.
Towards Russia.
Yes.
I mean, slowly they have.
Yes.
And no offense, I want us out of NATO. I think NATO's nothing but trouble.
No offense taken. I can't wait to get out of NATO, and I can't wait to get out of the UN. I think we're spending so much money. The United States props up both those organizations because they were both created after World War II. You know, the countries obviously in Europe were suffering, and we thought, okay, we're gonna help you out financially, so it was Harry Truman and the League of Nations became the United Nations,
right?
And we've been funding that organization ever since, and it doesn't do anything for us.
And what the Human Rights Council? I think Trump just took us out of that.
Yes.
Who was in the Human Rights Council?
Well, I think
there?
Iran is in charge.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah. So of all the people, I think North Korea might be on it. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't be sure, but I think that they might be on it.
The dark of the dark.
Yes. I mean, and the United Nations we pay for. They were in New York, obviously. All those diplomats have immunity, so if they were to commit a crime, they don't get charged for it. They're all doing that on our dime. And again, where is the return to the United States? There is no return. In fact, I would say that it's much to our detriment that we are even involved. And the same with NATO.
And we're paying for it.
Yeah, we're paying for it. And we're paying for NATO, which is why Trump is great saying, you guys step up to your share and we're fine. If you don't, then we're out of here.
Yeah, and let's explain that to people that may not, they might be newer to politics. We don't know who's watching. Let's discuss how NATO was formed.
It was formed post World War II because if you remember, we defeated Germany with Russia's help. Mm-hmm. We being the Allies, being UK, France, the U.S. We defeated Germany and Italy with Russia's help. We split up what was then Germany into East and West. We gave half of Berlin to the Soviet Union as well. So there was East Berlin and West Berlin.
Right.
And they built the Iron Curtain. The Soviets did, and the Europeans were not in a situation financially where they could actually defend themselves.
Well, and you have to remember what happened to Europe.
Yes.
During World War II. They were decimated.
Of course,
you want to talk about Ukraine being decimated or even Gaza being decimated?
Yes.
London had burnt to the ground.
Well, a lot of those countries had,
right.
and a lot of Germany did and a lot of Italy did too.
Right.
So, we were there trying to help rebuild Western Germany and Italy too, after post-World War II. And so that we decided we'd create this pact so that which would prevent the Soviet Union from ever trying to attack Europe. And
right.
That was why NATO was created. And that was 1950? I can't remember exactly, but long time ago.
And now they buy their petroleum and everything from Russia.
Yeah, from Russia. Yes. Yeah, and the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. And they
right.
don't have the Soviet Union doesn't have that reach now into Poland, Czechoslovakia, Bosnia, Lithuania, all the places they used to. when they were a union. Now that's basically just Russia, and a lot of those Iron Curtain countries have become pretty profitable Western countries. So there really is no need, in my estimation. I mean, if the EU wants to have a pact amongst themselves and will help, knock yourselves out.
But we shouldn't be paying for all
all
of
of it. We pay. I think we pay 67 to 70% of all of NATO's expenses.
And in the meantime, we're borrowing that money to give to them, and we're $36 trillion in debt, and it's not sustainable.
That's correct. 100%. And that, again, gets back to DOGE.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that we, as a political system, government, we have to figure out, you know, what we're doing wrong, because, as Musk would say, if we go bankrupt, it's over.
Well, and let's take a step into this, because we see NATO, we see the UN, we see the World Economic Forum, and we see that they want a new world order. We see that they want a one world governance system.
Right.
And they're not stupid. These are not stupid people, which tells me that their destruction of the American financial system and everything else is intentional.
Of course it is. Yes.
Dig. Tell me.
Yeah, of course it is. And you know, and we get back to a lot of, I'm not going to say Soros is responsible for the New World Order, but he's
part of it.
He's a big proponent. In fact, he's a big proponent of a single language for the globe. He wants one language so that we all speak the same language. And I mean, there are global activists in Canada. The United States has got them. And
what do you think of this new Canadian Prime Minister?
He's just more of the same. Canada, and I love Canada, and I got some Canadian friends.
Yeah, I've got family there.
Yeah, I mean,
well, you know, second cousins and stuff. But they're there.
Yeah, I used to travel there all the time as an airline pilot.
Yeah,
and I loved it. You know, I used to do some training in Toronto, but Canada, they've become more socialist than even like. I mean, I grew up in Norway, and Norway is way to the left. And Canada's become way to the left of Norway. So what Canada did was they traded one communist for another. I mean, basically, this guy's just another communist. And in some cases, he might be worse. He's never held an elected position before. He's a financial guy.
See, and I just look what they did to their truckers.
Yes.
When the truckers stood up against COVID saying, you got to let us work, and they took their trucks and they took their bank accounts.
Yes.
And they're taking their freedom of speech.
Yes.
And they tried to do that here, and I thank God every day for Elon Musk saving our First Amendment rights. Yes. I was banned in 2020. I don't know if you were. I mean, I was wiped out across the board. And that's a really dangerous thing for the people not to be able to speak.
Well, and Musk saved free speech in this country. He saved it.
Yeah.
When I was running for Congress, I got knocked off of Twitter, Facebook, and my email was hacked.
What year was that?
That was 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I got wiped out. We all got wiped out.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I finally, by appealing with friends of mine at the White House, found a human being at then Twitter I could talk to and say, hey, you know, this looks like election interference.
Yeah.
So eventually they restored me, but they didn't restore me till a day after the election in 2020.
My old accounts were never restored. When I was wiped out, you know, first I was always getting thrown in Facebook jail or, you know, Twitter, 12 days suspension, 30 days suspension, because I was speaking up against COVID and I was speaking up against, you know, just the tyranny that we had seen in Russiagate and impeachment 1. I mean, those that when we could talk, we were able to dig and find the information and put it out there. And the powers that be did not like that. When they banned me, they took Facebook, Instagram, Jack Dorsey's Twitter, all within the same hour on the same day, banned me, account suspended, and then they took down my business pages.
Oh, see, that's...
And they, you know, and to this day, I'm like, I should be able to sue for that.
You should be able to.
But those accounts are gone forever. And economically, they hurt me because my business pages were gone.
Right.
But that's when I walked away from 25 years in real estate, and now I'm this political podcaster that doesn't make any money.
Yeah, well,
you know?
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, you know, they...
the truth is more important to me.
Well, the truth is that, it's vitally important. And I think we're getting back there. And I think that, as you pointed out, Elon Musk acquiring Twitter, now X, really helped out. And the fact that President Trump is a truthful president. He's as transparent as any human being I think I've ever seen or known. He puts it out there. He is the antithesis of the Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is,
Mopsy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. In fact, I heard that KGP didn't ever really see Biden a lot. I guarantee you that President Trump's press secretary sees President Trump every single day.
Yeah, well, and we're seeing now, I think it just came out yesterday, that they're finding most of the documents, the pardons, and the bills that were signed via DocuSign.
Yes. Yes.
So who was signing all of this legislation? Who was signing these pardons? Does Joe Biden even know? Was he involved? Today they found Alina Habba. I saw her on. She found the fake White House studio that he used to broadcast from.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about that presidency was fake.
Well, I'll go deeper than that.
Okay, go.
When I carried the nuclear football, when I carried the nuclear football for President Clinton, the process involves two things. It involves the president carrying a credit card-sized document called the nuclear codes,
right?
Which President Clinton lost. We can get to that story if you'd like at one point in time. And it also requires a military aide who has what's called the nuclear football. I can't fathom Biden ever having had the codes. I don't think he could have been trusted to even wake up in the middle of the night if something like that had gone down. And you have to have the president with the codes who communicates with the military aide to make the missiles start launching and the bombers start flying. And whoever was behind signing all the pardons was probably the person who had the nuclear codes and was pretty much in command of that too.
Which is scary.
Which is very scary. I can speculate, but I think that, behind the curtain, it was probably Obama or Susan Rice or someone like that. And as an American, you should be appalled. You should be frightened that we elected a commander-in-chief who wasn't even capable of being the commander-in-chief.
See, and I don't think he was really elected.
I don't think he was either.
I think we faced a color revolution. I think they took the California model nationwide. They did the mass mail-in voting. I had Professor Clements on last week, and he really got into how these machines work. And
that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and then we've got a board of supervisor here that betrayed the Republicans and decided to extend our Dominion systems till 2029 against the will of the people. And so, we're facing something in California. I mean, we would really have to make it too big to rig. But the whole curing process is trouble within itself. But, you go back to everything that happened. Again, the really good thing that I'm seeing happen now are all these people, their security clearances are being revoked.
Beautiful.
Victoria Nuland.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's something, too. Samantha Power, who was very involved in Russiagate and very involved in Impeachment 1, was heading up USAID.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah.
It's always the same people.
Well, yeah. And Perkins Coie, the law firm that was behind the dossier, Russian dossier.
Yep, that Hillary
they took
and
theirs
the DNC
away.
paid for.
The 51 guys that signed the Hunter Biden letter.
Clapper.
All those guys. I mean, that was that's Leon Panetta was on that list. I mean, there were a lot of big names that decided to do the wrong thing there. But yeah, take their clear. The whole Biden administration basically lost their clearances, which they don't need them. All they're doing is leaking, and talking to the press. They don't need them. As a person that used to have the highest security clearance in the country, I applaud this. When they came out and said that, I was like, right on. Winning is great. We're winning.
They are still targeting President Trump.
Oh yeah.
And I think this time the only difference is he's not surrounded by the enemy. He has chosen his cabinet this time. We're not seeing that infiltration of those that were out to get him the whole time. And I've talked to people about this, which I think is kind of interesting, because we all were very upset when 2020 happened. But I feel that we needed to go through the last 4 years to see, A,
Absolutely.
how bad it would get, but B, if it wouldn't have happened this way, Mike Pence would still be vice president, and he would still be surrounded by the enemy. What are your thoughts?
I think that the halftime break was great for the country. You know, if 2020 hadn't happened, I don't think that most of America would have woken up to the fact that we had an entire political party out there that was anti-American. I think that this kind of had to happen, and I think it sets the Republicans up for more success going forward. And in saying that, I got to say, J.D. Vance has been
I love him.
brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant, and he's getting some great on-the-job training. I mean, you know, but you're right. This time, Trump has picked a team that he didn't let the Republican Party pick these guys. He picked
Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell.
He picked them, and this is the strongest cabinet I can remember in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And they don't screw around. You know, I just can't wait for Kash Patel to get going.
Well, and Dan Bongino.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
So what do you think about that? Everybody was pretty disappointed when we were told that the Epstein files would be released. We know that Jeffrey Epstein videotaped people. I believe he probably worked for the CIA for all I know.
Yeah.
And they were honeypot traps. There's a lot of tapes out there. And everything that was released, we had already seen before. So I wish they wouldn't have done it that way. I mean, I think that if the Southern District of New York was holding back evidence, Pam Bondi should have taken those influencers to the SDNY and shut the place down on camera. That would have been the thing to do. But to release that, I think, was a mistake. And I'm really hoping that we see justice. I do not want to see Adam Schiff
God.
to continue to lie to the American people. That man, as far as I'm concerned, committed treason against this country.
He committed treason. I can't even get started on
So
Schiff.
many of them.
Yeah, you know, here's my opinion on the Epstein list. I hope we see it. I think we will see it eventually. I think that the administration got out in front of the skis a little bit with this. I mean, they made the announcement, and what we got initially was disappointing.
Seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that, I mean, and I hope this is what's happening. I pray this is what's happening for the justice of the people who were involved, is that, you know, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are really putting this together so it's it's waterproof. Like, hey, if there are big names on this list,
There are.
Oh yeah, Bill Clinton. There
Yeah.
are big names on this list.
Woody Allen,
Yeah.
Prince Andrew.
So when all this comes out, I mean, it's going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
And
Bill Gates.
I hope that, yes,
I think they need to be prosecuted. Why should they get off scot-free?
They shouldn't. They
If
should be
They know
prosecuted.
that these men have been having sex with minors and trafficked minors and took advantage of minors. They should be prosecuted just as much as Ghislaine and Jeffrey.
and I will also say that I'm sure there are Republicans on that list too.
Oh, yeah. And I said
if
let
they're-
them go.
Yeah, if they're guilty, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the same. Let's have one set of justice, and especially if you have been involved involved sexually with children.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care who you are, what position you hold. I think that you all go down the same, and
Right.
you know, and I think most Americans would feel that way. I mean, I don't think Trump's on there, but if somebody in the Trump circle was on there, sure, see ya. You know.
Yeah, well, and you hear a lot about that. Well, Jeffrey Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago when back in 2020, before Jeffrey Epstein died, actually before he was even arrested the second time, I was digging into this case a little bit. And what I did find was, Jeffrey Epstein knew Trump because they both lived in Palm Beach and they
Right.
both had places in New York. I know that Trump flew on Epstein's plane once from Palm Beach to New York not with Jeffrey Epstein, but with Jeffrey Epstein's son, just to get a ride back to New York. Why he didn't take his own plane, I don't know. He's never been to the island. But the thing that got me most to know that President Trump really didn't have anything to do with this was, number one, when Virginia Giuffre was assaulted at Mar-a-Lago, Trump banned Jeffrey
Yes.
Epstein from Mar-a-Lago forever. And I don't
Yes.
think he ever spoke to him again after that. And then when the first case in Florida came out, the actual victim's attorney said that President Trump was the only one that was forthcoming and wanted to help.
Right.
And if he was guilty, he wouldn't want to do that. He'd want to shut his mouth and, pretty much pack it in. So I would like to know that we are going to see justice, not only with that, with Russiagate, with the impeachment.
Well, there's
with
so many
all of this stuff.
There's so many things, that are out there, with, Eric Swalwell sleeping with a Chinese spy.
Yeah, Feng.
Yeah, and you brought up Adam Schiff and the lying and in the two fake impeachments.
And what happened at the Standard Hotel?
I want to know.
There's something there.
There is something there because a lot of people know something went on. So
Yeah, and he was friends with that Ed Buck guy.
yes, he was.
Who was a pedophile.
He's in jail, right?
Yes, he's in jail.
Yeah.
Because he was sleeping with young black prostitutes and
Yes.
they were dying.
Yes,
I think 3 of them died.
Not that they died is funny, but that's true.
No,
and that,
but
and that
they
didn't get a
were
lot of
overdoses.
press. Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't get a lot of press.
And he was close to Schiff. He was close to, I think, Pelosi. And
Lou,
yeah.
Ted Lou.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's another one.
Why do people in California vote for these people?
God, Katie Porter. There's some real
She's
idiots.
a wackadoodle.
She really is.
She's like crazy. She's
She is.
like, ooh.
Well, there's a lot of people who's the congresswoman from Houston? I'll think of it in a second. But Californians vote for some real idiots.
When I ran for office here,
Jasmine Crockett, who's I was
Oh,
thinking about. How does that lady get elected to anything?
yeah, and I have to laugh. I don't know if you saw on X, Terrence Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see him in the wig with the long nails?
Yes, yeah.
Oh my gosh, so funny. I guess she blocked him over that, but I was laughing so hard. That guy's so funny.
He really,
But
yeah.
when I ran for office, one of the things I ran on was the fire danger here.
Right.
And this was after the Woolsey fire, and because that burnt across the street from my house. And growing up here, I know we used to do controlled burns.
Yes.
We used to have livestock in the hills. And then somehow this unelected bureaucracy, our state assembly and state senate, gave all the power to the Coastal Commission and all these things.
Yeah.
And the mayor of Malibu had endorsed me because I was running on this issue. But the people in the Palisades and Malibu, basically all they could think of was Jackie's campaign, smear campaign on me, that I had Hitler
Jackie.
ideology and that I was a MAGA extremist. And remember, you saw the card.
Well, she's
she
a
did on
neighbor
me.
of mine.
Remember, it was all in red and MAGA extremist.
Yeah,
so
Jackie
scary.
lives on my street, and we don't wave.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's so funny. I remember when I was running, you actually put my sign on your yard.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she
I
had to
did.
pass it every day.
Yeah, I did. One day, I don't know if I can say this on your show, but
Yeah, you can.
one day her husband pulled up in his car, rolled his window down, and said, "You're an asshole." I thought, okay, well, so are you, but carry on, So yeah, we don't see much of the Irwins, but yeah, California has voted for. How is Maxine Waters still in office?
But see, that's the thing. I don't understand how they can be. The one thing I will say is if you watch, Fox 11 News, it is so biased.
Oh yeah,
It just is. Everything is so left slanted. It's insane. Alec Michelson.
yes,
Okay, nice guy, I guess. But, I watch him interview people, and I kind of got after him a little bit on X because who was it he was interviewing? I think it wasn't Gavin Newsom. I would have to look, but he wasn't pushing back.
yeah,
And I finally said, push back.
yeah.
Press this. And he said, well, how am I supposed... Oh, it was I think it was Bonta.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, push back a little, push back. And he got offended with me. And he goes, well, how do you expect me to get these interviews? You tell me how I could get this interview if I told the guy he was full of shit.
Well, then why does he want the interview?
And that's what I said. I said, I don't interview people that lie to me.
Yeah.
I don't interview people that lie to me. These media, I don't care if it would be great to work for a network like that, but not if I'm bridled.
Yeah.
Not if I can't ask the hard questions. And I don't know. I lose respect for that.
Absolutely. And I think.
But that's why they're voting the way they are, because they're lied to.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but, it'd be interesting to see how the voting public in Malibu and Palisades vote this time.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of money there, and they're not happy with the fires.
And Karen Bass lied again.
And they did, yeah.
And said, oh, no, we're going to let them clear their land.
Yes.
I just got a text from a friend the other day that lives in Malibu who was affected. She lives right above Duke's.
Okay.
And so part of her house caught fire. Thank God she didn't lose it all. But they're still not letting these people clear their lots. The Army Corps of Engineers has offered to do it for free. They won't allow it. They want them paying city contractors $25,000 to clear their lots.
So what's being done? Is anything being done?
They are doing some, because I know that a lot of the waste is going to the Simi landfill. And I know that our city council has allowed that. But according to Donna, there's so many people, they're not letting them touch it unless they use the city contractors. And again, will these people continue to vote the way that they vote? I don't know.
Well, just wait until the development starts.
Yeah. Oh, and they want to build a smart city.
Yes.
It's got to be a smart city. You've seen a little connection between Maui and all of this stuff. And I believe all those fires were set.
I almost guarantee you they were. I mean, some of the videos, and that was, Malibu's been pounded. I mean, they had the floods too, and then they had a couple earthquakes recently. I mean, they've become kind of the epicenter for things that are going wrong in California. So I'm hoping the people, they rise up a little bit and go, you know what? I voted for Newsom. I voted for Bass. They're not doing a damn thing.
They're letting the Assembly and the Senate off the hook.
Yeah.
If you notice all the media, nobody's saying, why did Jackie Irwin give all the land to the Coastal Commission?
Yeah.
Why did Ben Allen not do anything? It's these state assembly and Senate races that are making the laws. And Gavin is, signing the laws, but they need to be held accountable. And people need to recognize we've got this super majority in Sacramento.
Yes.
That just 2 weeks ago, they took all the Republicans off the committees because they don't want to hear what they have to say.
I heard about that.
It's tyranny.
Yes, it is. And, getting back to the only way we can turn California red is for there to be like executive orders or even constitutional amendments saying voter ID is required.
Yeah.
1 day voting only. Paper ballots.
No mass mail-in voting.
And we will start, no mass mail-in voting, and we will start to see a tremendous change in California.
I believe that.
I do too. It might not be in my lifetime, but I think that it'll be, I hope it is, and I hope I see it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're staying here, and my family, is that, there's so much promise in California. I love California.
I do too. We've got the great beaches. You can be on the beach and in the snow within the same day, or go to the desert.
When I lived in Northern California and I was in the Air Force, we used to do a thing where we would snow ski and water ski all on the same day, and then go to Napa Valley.
Because you could.
Because you could. And you could do it all in a day.
Yeah.
You had to start early, and you'd finish a little bit late.
And you'd be tired.
But you might be a little drunk, but you'd finish it out. You'd finish it. So, and the only state I've ever lived in, and I lived in a lot of them, is California, because you can do that. I loved the terrain. I loved the weather, of course. I love the food. I love everything about it. Our politics suck.
But that politic is starting to affect everything. I was born in Santa Monica. It's a drug den now.
Yeah.
That used to be a beautiful city. And then you look at a city like Huntington Beach, Surf City.
Yeah.
Where the Republicans took it over.
Yes.
Tony Strickland
Yes.
and Gracie told Newsom to pound sand. They cleared up the homeless.
Yeah.
There's no more homeless on their streets.
Yes.
They made voter ID. And now he's going back to the state Senate because he just won the special election. So I'm happy about that. But you can see the difference. And even driving in Thousand Oaks, which is a beautiful community. Now, if you take the off ramp, if you're going south and you get onto the 23, the piles of trash
Yeah.
that are building up on the sides of the road, we never used to have that.
No, I know. And I've lived in TO for 16 years.
Yeah.
And the homeless issue, I get part of it, and I see it, and sometimes in TO at Thousand Oaks it's a lot worse than other times, but we have it.
It's not as bad as when you cross into LA County, though.
No, I know that.
Yeah, LA County is a nightmare.
And I know it's not as bad as if you go, the further south you get, the worse it gets.
Yeah, as soon as you get into LA County, I mean, it's insane.
Well, they're probably helping you put up your tents, and
right.
It's one of those things. And
unless President Xi comes to town.
Yeah, yeah. Then let's clean it up.
Yeah, then he'll clean it up for a couple days.
Yeah, and it'll be the same after that.
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
Yep.
Nothing changes. But I think we can turn the state around. I do. I think we can.
Would you ever run again?
Well, Nicole would kill me.
Oh.
Probably. We do talk about it occasionally. It would have to be local. I wouldn't run in a different county again. And it would have to be, I don't know. Maybe
Board of Supervisor, City Council.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could do something like that.
Yeah, because we need people like you.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've thought about it, and I just, ever since I retired from the Air Force, I've always wanted to continue serving, and
Right.
That's why I write, and that's why I tried to be elected before, and I just want to keep serving, for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So let's get back really quick because we kind of veered off course, but I love talking to you because we could talk about 1,000 different things. The new DOJ, where do you think that's going?
With Pam Bondi?
Yeah, and Cash and Dan Bongino, who's written 3 books on Follow the Money, Spygate, and Rushgate.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Dan to really weigh in. I haven't seen anything.
He's finishing up his show this
I saw
week.
that.
I've been tuning in every day. I love the Bongino show.
He and Patel are going to be.
They know where all the
a
bodies
significant
are buried.
one. Oh, they do. I was going to say especially Bongino. Dan and I worked together at the White House at the same time. So he was Secret Service when I was the military aide. Yeah, so he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And he's a badass.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy that we need. Really, that's when I expect things to start happening, is when those two guys get together and you start really digging. And, I think Bondi is going to be more of a, let's make sure we have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed. And I hope she's willing to do something. I'm ready for people to start perp walking.
Yeah, I mean, I met her at Mar-a-Lago a couple years ago, and she's a really nice woman. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like she could be my sister.
Yeah.
We've both got the blonde hair, brown eyes, and she's a very nice woman. I was excited about Matt Gaetz taking that position, but that didn't happen. And I miss that little honey badger in Congress. I wish he would have kept his seat.
Yeah.
But
He's got bigger aspirations, I think.
OAN News.
I don't know. That might be fun.
Yeah, but that's what he's doing now.
I know, but
Yeah.
I think he's still got ideas politically.
Okay, yeah, because I don't want him to go away.
No, I think he's going to try to either run for governor someday in Florida,
Okay.
or possibly Senate.
Okay, so we're out of time, unfortunately. Are you working on any books? What's going on in Buzz's life? Tell people where to find you and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm definitely on social media on X at Buzz Patterson, so it's pretty easy to run me down. I'm also on Instagram at Buzz Patterson. Actually, on Instagram, I think it's real Buzz Patterson. Somebody hacked my other page, but and I'm writing. I write for Red State occasionally, and I've got a couple book ideas, and I'm still speaking, and mostly just enjoying being at home and being a husband and a dad. We've got one more child at home, and he's going to Moore Park College, so He's playing volleyball, so we're pretty proud of him. So other than that, just trying to do what I can, keep
Cool.
fighting.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We will do it more on a regular basis because I
Sounds
love
great.
having you.
Well, thanks so much, Lori, for having
And
me.
you're always fun on X. You guys follow him on X. Super fun. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week with a special guest, Carly Bonet, my East Coast sister, the Midnight Rider. She just cracks me up. So she'll be on next week. And make sure to follow me on X at Lori Mills, the number 4CA42, and subscribe to our Rumble channel, Uncover Cali. And if you want to help us out here, because again, this isn't a great paying job, uncovercali.com and drop us $25. You can do that. Have a great day. Bye.
California.